His will to win turned. It will be a night to remember. That is, if you survive the haunting. Tuesday at 8 on Philly's great movie station.
All in the Family, weeknights at 6:30 and 11:30 on WGBS Philadelphia.
The following is a Philly 57 sports presentation.
Well, this past Thursday was the first episode of the 8-episode short story titled Life Without Hextall. The eventual outcome was an opening night 2-2 tie with the Montreal Canadiens, where newcomer Magnus Rupe turned in a strong performance, notching his first NHL goal, while veteran Ilkka Sinisalo completed the Flyers' scoring. In addition, another newcomer, goaltender Mark Laforce, had an impressive outing. But that's all behind them now, as tonight's episode 2 takes to the road as the Flyers meet up with an old nemesis, Coach Herb Brooks. From the Met Center in Minneapolis, it's the Philadelphia Flyers and the Minnesota Northstars.
For the past 2 weeks, sports interest in the Twin Cities is focused on the Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome, home of the Minnesota Twins and Twins fever. But tonight, Minneapolis and St. Paul switch their furor to the south, to Bloomington, Minnesota, where tonight, live from the Metropolitan Sports Center, it's the Philadelphia Flyers and the Minnesota Northstars. Good evening, Gene Hart along with the Chief as we open our road schedule in earnest against the Northstars opening their 21st season in the National Hockey League. And Bobby, the main interest here rests in the return of a prodigal son for Minnesota.
It certainly does, Gene. Of course, Herb Brooks was named the new coach of the Northstars over the past year, and I think this is something that people here in Minnesota have been waiting for a number of years. He had 7 years of coaching at the University of Minnesota. He went to the finals 4 times. He won the NCAAs 3 times, so he's got a pretty good track record.
He likes to maneuver, and he's already taken one former first-round pick, selected number 1 overall in the draft of 1983, and moved him back to his more familiar position at center ice.
Well, we're talking about Brian Lawton. He had his best year ever in the National Hockey League. He scored 21 goals last year from the wing position. Not only that, he was their leader in plus and minus in the Emery Edge Award. So he is starting to get his confidence. He's only 22 years of age, and this is his 5th year in the National Hockey League. So if he goes back to center, I think it might even give him more confidence. And as you know, Gene, in any sports, and especially in hockey, you have to have that confidence if you're going to play well.
And playing well in the Canada Cup is supposed to forebode well for a performer during the regular season, and that, at least here in Minnesota, hopes to be held true for Craig Hartsburg.
Well, he's been the solid performer back there for them ever since he came over from Birmingham, and I think he's a guy that really doesn't get the recognition throughout the league of being how good he is. I think players know how good he is, and other coaches possibly, I know they know how good he is, but I don't think the media or the average fan realizes how good Craig Hartsburg is. He is an excellent hockey player, and as you mentioned, playing in Team Canada, that boosts confidence as well.
Guy who's played pretty well against Philadelphia is going to get the nod in the goal. I call him the White Knight.
Kerry Taco, yes, with those white pads. It's very difficult to, well, it's supposed to be very difficult for a player to come down and take a look at the white pads. They're supposed to think that's open net or open ice, or that there's supposed to be a big hole there, but I'm not so sure it works.
The Northstars are going to be without their dinosaur tonight.
Well, Dino Ciccarelli, of course, out with 3 games for repeatedly pushing a linesman, Mark Perry, and he's going to be missed. He's a big gun for them. He's their home run hitter, just like the Flyers are missing Tim Kerr, who's their home run hitter. But Ciccarelli has been a proven goal scorer. He has really been a thorn in the Flyers' side, and not only just for scoring goals, but I think also for the fact that he can really cause a lot of trouble out there. He's sort of like the gnat that you can't actually slap his hand and you can't get rid of him. He is a very pesky player, and I think the Flyers aren't not sad at all that he's not playing.
Perhaps a mysterious phenom might be a defenseman that had not figured in their plans, a youngster named Berger.
Young guy out of Lethbridge, right. It's funny to hear a Westerner with the French pronunciation, but Berger is the guy that they're going to go with. How much ice time he gets is probably up to Herb Brooks, but he has been playing quite well for them.
A victory for Philadelphia evens the all-time regular season record here at 19-19-12, and we'll have the opening face-off coming up after we pause for this.
NHL hockey on Philly 57. Tonight, the Flyers meet the Minnesota Northstars from Metropolitan Sports Center in Bloomington. Tonight's game is brought to you in part by the Olds Connection, your local Oldsmobile dealer, who introduces the Cutlass Calais Quad 4, the most powerful, efficient engine ever built or sold in America. By Bell of Pennsylvania, a Bell Atlantic company. By exceptionally smooth Michelob. Where you're going, it's Michelob. And by Xerox Antifreeze, the antifreeze that beats winter.